Hey guys, and welcome to the new series on this channel called Football Deep. In today's video, I will be talking about the ideal water temperature for performance on the field. So probably like a bunch of you guys, I've been told a lot of conflicting things about the best water temperature for performance on the field. Whether that's cold water, ice cold water, cool water, room temperature water, or even warm water. And so whenever I get conflicting advice, instead of just listening blindly to either side, I like to go online and do my research to figure out what's going to be best for my body, my game, and ultimately my career. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and get started. The first thing I found when doing this research was that cold water actually does burn more calories. It's kind of confusing because what most people think of a calorie in terms of food or burning calories is actually really a kilocalorie. But by definition, it takes 1 calorie to raise the temperature of a kilogram of water at 1 degree Celsius. So just technically speaking, when you're consuming cold water, your body has to burn calories in order to bring it up to your core body temperature. The colder the water, the more your body has to actually work. Now, calorie loss can be seen as good or bad, depending on what you're looking for. If you're just looking to lose weight, then yeah, maybe those few extra calories that you're going to burn by warming up the water is going to be beneficial to you. But if you're a footballer or a different endurance athlete that needs to tolerate retaining as many calories and energy as possible when you're in the field, then maybe burning extra calories isn't the best thing for you in the competition. However, when you really get down to the science and you look at the number of calories burned for either side, it is almost negligible the amount of calories that we burn. To warm up a water of 16 fluid ounces is about 17.5 calories. 17.5 calories is practically nothing compared to a 2,500 calorie diet, and is nothing compared to the 1,500 calories that most soccer players burn in 90 minutes. And yes, of course, every little bit counts, but as we'll see later on in the video, the benefits of drinking cold water may outweigh the calories that you'll burn. Point number 2. The exact temperature for maximum absorption rate remains somewhat in doubt. And as I dug deeper, trying to find scientific evidence or some studies to determine what was the best absorption rate for cold or room temperature water, I just kept on finding claims. I found claims that room temperature water was better because it didn't have to be warmed up by your body, and I found that no colder water was better because it could pass through your stomach and end up in your smaller intestines faster. But I couldn't find a single scientific study or even any scientific data that supported either side. It was just a whole bunch of claims. That's probably because accurately measuring water absorption rate into the body is pretty hard. But in terms of absorbing the water into your system, you can't really take a side yet. Number 3. Water temperature changes core body temperature. The biggest effect that I found by changing water temperature that we drink is its effect on core body temperature. It kind of seems obvious, but when you drink colder water, you're lowering your core body temperature. When you drink room temperature water, you're just kind of remaining the same. And if you're drinking warmer water, you're raising your core body temperature. During endurance activities like football, where core body temperature is raised, especially during hot and humid environments, it is far better to consume colder water to lower a core body temperature to a more optimal level. Furthermore, it was found that water temperature around 16 degrees Celsius, or around that cool tap water level, is optimal for athletes trying to rehydrate in sports or performance. I kept on digging and they kept on researching, and I found this systematic review that kind of looked over 7 different studies looking at water temperature and performance on the field, and they pretty much said the exact same thing. They found a benefit of cold water consumption in hotter, more humid environments above 28 degrees Celsius and around 30% humidity, with cold water beverages around 5 degrees Celsius, which is actually even colder than recommended in the last study. They also found a weighted mean average of 10% improvement in performance when colder water beverages were used. And interestingly enough, in 4 studies where they looked at consuming cold water beverages in more of a moderate climate where it wasn't as hot or humid, they didn't find a significant benefit to consuming the colder beverage. And lastly, in this study, where they looked at non-endurance type activities such as bench press, squats, and broad jump, they found that colder water actually had a decrease in performance in comparison to room temperature water for these athletes. And that last one makes sense here, as in just a normal gym, you're doing non-endurance type activities, not endurance type activities where your core body temperature is really being raised that higher. So cold water isn't going to benefit you by bringing down that core body temperature. The cold water is going to bring it down to a lower than optimal, hence why their performance is probably decreasing. So to sum up all those studies, your ideal water temperature is really based upon your sport and your environment. Number 4. On average, people prefer colder water. A cooler beverage is generally more preferred and more consumed by the average population. A review of the literature actually found a 50% increase in consumption when colder beverages were used during exercise and resulted in a smaller change in body mass than warmer fluids. So athletes are more likely to consume more water and become less dehydrated when that water is actually colder. The evidence indicates the ingestion of fluids between 10 degrees to 21 degrees Celsius is optimal for palatability and fluid ingestion. Here is another study showing the exact same thing, that cool beverage temperatures less than 22 degrees Celsius significantly increased fluid palatability, consumption and hydration during exercise versus the control temperature. So again, what does this all mean? Well, for starters, there's no overwhelming evidence to show that cold water or warm water or room temperature water is better all of the time every single time. There can be many times in places where cold water is much better for you, and there can be times where warmer or even room temperature water is better for you. As a general rule of thumb, though endurance type athletes, especially footballers, would probably benefit from consuming colder water temperature around 10 to 21 degrees Celsius before and during competition, especially when it's hot and humid outside. But as always, evaluate your situation, your activity and your preference, and adjust the water temperature accordingly. But that's it for the video, guys. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please feel free to hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel. It will be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.